Will Smith goes up against Joe Rogan for supporting Chris Rock over Netflix Extraordinary. It's been a wild ride since Will Smith went in front of an audience and slapped Chris Rock during a live transmission of the 2022 Oscars. The actual attack seen by millions, remaining many separated on whether it was justified. Albeit not much was said about the episode during the Oscars, Will Smith got a ton of intensity on the web. Many censure his activities on live TV. Chris Rock chose to remain silent and didn't show any of his resentment. In any case, presently, after close to 12 months, Chris Rock delivered his parody unique on Netflix as of late. His exceptional contains a great deal of material from the Oscars occurrence, and Chris Rock has taunted Will Smith in a few examples. He utilized the drawn-out program to tell the public how he's been adapting to the circumstance. Numerous VIPs including Joe Rogan upheld him and savaged Will Smith for his silly way of behaving. He was all free about the humorist and furthermore expressed that it was an intense move from Chris Rock. As per Joe Rogan, Will Smith's activities at the Oscars left a foul blemish on his heritage. Talking with Bert Kreischer, he brought up how Chris Rock held his resentment for a year just to convey his satire exceptional. While conveying a red-hot presentation, Chris Rock intentionally designated Will Smith and his family to draw out his resentment. However, it seems like Will Smith could have done without Joe Rogan supporting Chris Rock's Netflix unique show. Obviously, he believes individuals should fail to remember that remarkable episode. So snatch the bundle of your number one bite or bowl of popcorn, as we will profoundly talk about how might defied Joe and why numerous superstars are supporting Chris. Remain with us, and prior to making any ends, make a point to watch the video till the end. On the off chance that you don't recollect, let us advise you that, last year, something extremely heartbreaking occurred at the most renowned honor service in the business. The 2022's Oscar will be recognized as the most sensational honor service throughout the entire existence of Hollywood. All credits go to the slap heard all over the planet. During the function, Will Smith stepped onto the stage and smacked Chris Rock directly upside the head. You should be asking why. Indeed, Chris came in front of an audience to report the candidates for the best narrative component. In any case, prior to doing that, he started a short discourse. Everything was going flawlessly before he brought up Jada Pinkett Smith. He poked fun at her shaved head and contrasted her with Demi Moore in the 1997 film, G.I. Jane. He said, "Jada, I love you. G.I. Jane 2, can hardly stand by to see it, good." Everybody partook in that joke, even Will chuckled at it. However, Jada appeared to be not exactly right and unamused. In the event that you don't have the foggiest idea, she has spoken about living with alopecia in the past, because of which she needed to shave her hair. Regardless of giggling at the joke from the outset, Will unexpectedly hopped in front of an audience and smacked truly hard across Chris's face prior to pivoting and getting back to his seat. Everybody was at first stunned and befuddled, as it was indistinct regardless of whether the trick was prearranged. Chris at last shouted, "Goodness. Will Smith just smacked the crap out of me." It was before long affirmed that nothing was modified and Will really slapped Chris. Everybody, going to the function, became serious as Will shouted the notorious words, "Keep my spouse's name out your effing mouth." Under 40 minutes after the stunning occurrence, Will went in front of an audience in the future, yet this time he went to acknowledge his top honor of the evening. He won the Best Entertainer grant for his job as Richard Williams, who was the dad of tennis stars Venus and Serena, in Reynaldo Marcus Green's Above All Else Richard. In his profoundly close-to-home acknowledgement discourse, Will zeroed in on the likenesses among himself and his personality. Richard Williams was a furious protector of his loved ones. "As of now in my life, as of now, I'm overpowered by the thing God is approaching me to do and be in this world." He then apologized to everybody. "I need to apologize to the foundation, I need to apologize to all my kindred chosen people." Sometime thereafter, he was recorded happily hitting the dance floor with his significant other and family at the Vanity Fair Oscar party, waving his Best Entertainer prize in the air as he rapped along to his very own mashup tune, From Gettin' Jiggy With It to Late Spring. It seemed as he didn't mind what he did a couple of hours back. Well, as per the bits of hearsay, Chris had wouldn't squeeze battery charges against the entertainer. He was partaking in his time behind the stage and giggled about what occurred in front of an audience. 5 days after the slap, Will sent an authority renunciation to the Institute, stripping him of his participation to the Oscars grants body. The foundation then optimized a gathering with the leading group of lead representatives to determine Will's destiny, choosing to prohibit the entertainer from the Oscars and any connected Institute occasions for the following 10 years. In July last year, Will put out a conciliatory sentiment video to shake. In any case, no reaction was seen from Chris's side. At long last, following a year, Chris tended to the occurrence head-on without precedent for his live parody extraordinary for Netflix, Chris Rock, Particular Shock. He said, "You all realize what befell me, getting smacked by Suge Smith. Everyone knows. Everyone fucking knows. Indeed. It worked out, like a year prior, I got smacked at the fucking Oscars by this mother lover." He additionally riffed on the distinction in height among himself and Will. "I realize you can't tell on the screen, however Will Smith is fundamentally greater than me," he said. Will Smith does motion pictures with his shirt off. "You never saw me do a film with my shirt off. On the off chance that I'm in a film getting open heart medical procedure, I got on a sweater." He additionally discussed watching Liberation to see Will getting whooped. He then, at that point, focuses on the couple's very own life. As indicated by Chris, Will had slapped him out of dislodged outrage at his significant other. He said Will Smith rehearses Particular Shock. "Everybody that truly knows realizes I had nothing to do with that poo. I didn't have any traps in the event that you don't have any idea." Chris is alluding to Jada's widely discussed relationship with the much more youthful vocalist August Alsina, which she depicted as an entrapment in a 2020 episode of her Facebook television show Red Casual Conversation. All through the episode, the couple discussed their marriage and said that they were isolated at the hour of the relationship, however have since rejoined. He then, at that point, ridicules Will for looking at being undermined freely. His better half was fucking her child's companion. "Everyone in here been undermined. Not a single one of us have at any point been consulted by the individual that undermined us on TV." He then, at that point, makes sense of, "She hurt him far more than he hurt me. Everyone on the planet called him a bitch. Also, who's he hit? Me." The responses to Chris's satire extraordinary are firmly blended, with numerous analysts communicating compassion toward Jada and Will and blaming Chris for rethinking the story in a misogynist, musically challenged way. While then again, numerous superstars have shared their perspectives in the remarks, with many protecting Stone for his set. Judy Love, Hussey's specialist, imparted her insight of the jokes as she tweeted, "I saw it live. However, master it hits contrastingly when you see it recorded, realizing the world and explicitly certain individuals can see it as well." Jim Gaffigan, a professional comic and creator, likewise imparted his insight and stated, "Like most jokesters, I'm constantly thankful for the presence of Chris Rock. Much obliged to you parody divine beings." Many came on the side of his activities on live TV. One of them was the veteran UFC variety pundit, Joe Rogan. Joe completely talked about the episode on his well-known digital broadcast, The Joe Rogan Experience. Joe firmly condemned Will Smith's activities on the show and values Chris for keeping silent for so long. Will was doubtlessly quite possibly of the most affable character in Hollywood. Be that as it may, his activities at the Oscars made a foul imprint on his heritage. Will was prohibited from the Oscars for a very long time subsequently. Notwithstanding his statement of regret to Chris, Will turned into the subject of images via virtual entertainment. Joe talked about similar on his digital recording. Discussing the level of Will's activities, Joe said, "What's something stupid to do? To be that individual who's freely cherished. Until that second, no one truly had a terrible comment about. Everyone cherished that person. In that web recording, Joe illuminated Will Smith's ubiquity before the episode. He said to be that individual who's openly adored. Like Will Smith was, until that second. No one had a terrible comment about, perhaps could have done without one film, or thought the superhuman film was idiotic or. Yet everyone cherished that person, Will Smith. In this way, as per Joe, he accepts, slapping Chris Rock in front of an audience was the absolute worst move. Adding on to Will Smith's idiocy in slapping the comic, Joe even referenced the words articulated by Will that in the end made all the disarray. He said, "Yet those two, keep my better half's name out of your effing mouth, those two sunk him." Examining with Bert Kreischer different potential outcomes, he expressed, in the event that he just slapped Chris Rock and afterward plunked down and said nothing. They wouldn't know what to do. It would sort of float off, and individuals would forget about it. As per Joe Rogan, Will Smith had each conceivable approach to transforming the episode into a PR trick and causing the crowd to accept it was completely arranged. In any case, articulating expressions of discourtesy and slapping the entertainer on live TV made the whole issue. Joe considered it was an idiotic move from Will Smith, which was tended to by Chris Rock as a ruthlessly designated Netflix parody show. On the off chance that you don't recollect, let us advise you that Joe Rogan severely pummeled Will Smith a few times to show his help for Chris Rock.